Good evening, YouTube Live. Glad to be joining you on this awesome Saturday, March 18th, 2023, on my 23rd, not 23rd, 31st YouTube Live. So much has taken place. Please subscribe, like, and share to my YouTube. Share my YouTube comment. Please like and look at updates. I'm trying to make sure I don't echo here. There goes the echo is gone. Grateful for that. But a lot of key developments I want to clue you in on in terms of what I've read, important anniversaries, in terms of what I've seen on the stage, some powerful developments since I last uh, produced my previous YouTube live. So much has taken place. Please subscribe, like, and share my YouTube. And if what you heard or learned from my YouTube videos have blessed you and has added to your knowledge, don't hesitate to support me. My Cash App is $ Ron Fraser. I want to get started. This past Thursday, I had an incredible experience at Penn State University in the Foster Auditorium. I saw an incredible lecture given by none other than Dr. Maryemma Graham. She is distinguished professor of English at the University of Kansas, who I just saw as the number one seed in the March Madness tournament lose to Arkansas in a nail biter. But her school has an incredible resource, and she's an incredible role model. She gave a talk, two talks that I saw her at on Thursday. The yes, Thursday the 16th is when I first saw her, and then she gave a more intimate talk with scholars and grad students on Friday the 17th. What an incredible study. And as I put on my IG and as I put on my Facebook, she just inspires me to really continue the work, to do the work, let your work speak for itself. And I can tell already after I read her introduction that she is doing Margaret Walker a huge service. Probably one of the most underestimated American writers is Margaret Walker. And Dr. Mary Emma Graham makes clear why all of us should know about her. I first met Dr. Mary Emma Graham at College Language Association conference, but I knew her through email because she encouraged me to go with the Toni Morrison Society when she was then president of the Toni Morrison Society to Paris, where the Louvre Museum was celebrating Professor Toni Morrison. This was at least a decade ago. I didn't get to go for factors out of my control, but I was grateful to notice that Dr. Graham really wanted me to go. So I've always seen her as a very nurturing scholar who is able to play and do the role of mother, teacher, researcher, archivist, and writer, all seamlessly. And what an amazing inspiration. She just inspired me to do the work. She told very important anecdotes of her personal experience. She does so in the introduction also when she said she first met Margaret Walker at Northwestern University in 1969. But she makes it so personal that you can't help but sit down and read. You can't help because I know her as a very nurturing and caring and empathetic scholar. It makes reading so much that easier. But I'm looking for at least one other person to join me on IG Live on a regular basis to read this amazing biography. It's 800 pages, but this the length of this book doesn't matter. It's getting read. Every page, every sentence, every paragraph, every chapter is getting read. Um, the House Where My Soul Lives is the name of this biography of Margaret Walker. I highly encourage you to read it. Learn about what makes Margaret Walker an important writer to study, what makes Jubilee, the novel that Margaret Walker wrote, an important novel to read, what makes How I Wrote Jubilee an important example, an important theoretical text for how to write a historical novel, how one should write an historical novel based on one's history, the way Margaret Walker did, that was based on her matrilineal side um, in Mississippi. And so I just want to read a page of the introduction that really spoke to me of this amazing book. The House Where My Soul Lives, the biography, The Life of Margaret Walker, the biography written by Dr. Maryemma Graham. This is in the middle of the introduction. Maryemma Graham writes, after Margaret Walker's death in 1998, as I began to settle on an approach to her life, I would tell people I was interested in writing a biography of Margaret Walker. Invariably, I got only two questions. Wasn't she in love with Richard Wright? Question mark. Richard Wright, Demonic Genius, was her biography that took a decade to appear. The reviews, including some by those scholars who had great praise for Walker's earlier work, considered the book to be the musings of a vindictive, jealous woman whose career paled in comparison to Wright's. The second question was, why would she sue Alex Haley? Maryemma Graham writes, this was before Haley's roots research was proven to be a hoax and Haley discredited. Wow, that was a lot right there. In 1979, however, Walker would lose her lawsuit against Haley for copyright infringement. Her claims, supported by extensive evidence, that he had lifted entire sections of Jubilee. Jubilee is Margaret Walker's famous novel that Dr. Maryemma Graham told us in the grad meeting on Friday was like at least, it came out of her dissertation, but it was at least 600 pages that was edited down to 400 pages. So Graham is writing here that Alex Haley literally took sections of Jubilee for his 1976 novel Roots, and her claim that he did that fell on deaf ears, Graham writes. Perhaps blinded by the commercial success, no judge would entertain the thought that Haley could get anything from an unknown like Walker. Ouch. But she still believed that she had a case. She still believed that a judge would hear her case, see her evidence, and rule that Haley, in fact, did commit copyright infringement by taking sections of her book. It's okay to take sections of the book. It's not okay to use section of someone else's book and act like you originated them when you didn't. And that's clearly what we learned from this paragraph that Alex Haley did. He took whole sections from another author's work, in this case, Margaret Walker's work, and passed it off as his. That is disingenuous, that is dishonest, and that's copyright infringement. And Dr. Graham covers that in this paragraph. But there goes that but that was powerful, and that shows the whole book is a but. The whole book is, but Walker was still an amazing writer, and that's evidence. Dr. Mary Graham's research, her archival work, her documenting her interviews with Walker's family shows that she is a formidable writer. Walker was discovering the underworkings of corporate greed when she lost that case. What was required to ensure the success of the best-selling novel and blockbuster television miniseries could not be exposed, Graham writes. Many sued Haley, but Walker was the most vulnerable, whose role could easily be switched. She suddenly became the person accused, not someone who had a right to accuse another. Indeed, and bitter, Walker was forced to become a new or a one-woman campaign in her own defense, unable to contain herself whenever the issue came up in public. Truth, indeed, became a set of alternative facts that an entire industry needed to protect. Walker had little power to fight what she realized was a powerful machine. And so that's the testament to the importance of understanding Walker's life and what Walker did to stand for herself, to refuse to allow her work to be taken from her without attribution. She demanded that she be acknowledged for those sections that Alex Haley took. I also revealed in a Facebook video awesome personal anecdotes Dr. Graham provided in her talk with the grad students on Friday. it showed us that Margaret Walker, lived an incredible life. She married a husband that did not share her love of books and who, from time to time, would abuse her. But her abiding love for him saw him support her to his death, saw him stop abusing her, and really, from what Dr. Graham said, demonstrated true love. True love is not leaving somebody when things go wrong, but true love is standing by your marriage vows, uh, through thick or thin, for richer or for poorer. And the way that Dr. Graham really explained that and conveyed that to us just brought home for me the actual importance of marriage and the virtue of marriage. How, it really is worth it to work through issues, to develop a bond, to strengthen a relationship. So I thank Dr. Graham for her powerful presentation of Margaret Walker. Check out her book again, The House Where My Soul Lives, The Life of Margaret Walker. If you're interested in reading the book with me on a regular basis, monthly, weekly basis, hit me up. My email is roan.fraser@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at Roan Fraser, my first and last name, one word. And I'm on Instagram by the same name, Roan Fraser. So read this book. There are other parts that I found very fascinating, just in terms of how she started the institute. She started an institute that is now called the Margaret Walker Center, how she was able to have politicians serving her and demanding that politicians get money from the state to fund her goals, fund her aims. And a lot of these institutions that created of all states, the state of Mississippi, um, that is supposedly the most racist in the country, Margaret Walker was able to get so much done as a Black woman and able to use taxpayers' money to fund the arts, to fund institutions, to fund humanities institutions, to fund programs that many in the state, especially at Jackson State University, are still benefiting from today. So an extraordinary life you'll see in the biography of Margaret Walker by Dr. Maryemma Graham. I'm inspired to finish my book about Dr. Tony Martin. And my book is a survey, but it includes at least 7 other articles about Dr. Tony Martin. I was working on the index the day before. I worked on the index the day I saw Dr. Graham, and I'm gonna make sure that index is going to be thorough uh, before the end of this month, because that whole speech, the reading of the introduction, really motivated me to get the work done. Dr. Graham has gotten the work done. It took her 20 years. You see the labor of love in this 700 to 800 page tome biography. But I know when I start reading it, time is going to jump out the window, as is the length. So check out this amazing book, The House Where My Soul Lives, The Life of Margaret Walker. If you're just watching this, don't hesitate to comment, like, subscribe, share my 31st YouTube Live. Your support is definitely appreciated. My Cash App is $Roan Fraser. And subscribe, like, and share my YouTube. I'm on Twitter by the same name and on Instagram by that same name. This was a powerful section. This was in the middle of the introduction. This portion I read. She also has a powerful chapter called Fame and Infamy, where she talks about how that public perception just kind of clouded her and didn't allow us to see her on the same rank as an Alice Walker or as a Toni Morrison or as a Ntozake Shange. But her work deserves serious study and serious reading, despite her not being the star writers that we've come to know. Last week, I had the opportunity to see the amazing stage play, The Harder They Come, written by Suzan-Lori Parks. I met a few of the cast members, and it was an amazing production. It was based on it was Suzan-Lori Parks' adaptation of the 1972 film by Perry Henzell. And in the original 1972 film, Jimmy Cliff, the reggae star, plays the character of Ivan. Ivan comes from the Jamaican countryside to live in the urban city and try to make his name as a recording artist. And, just like in the film, I liked what she did. There were certain parts of the musical that worked where she enhanced the film, she enhanced the message of the film. But then there were other parts of her stage adaptation that took away from the message of the film. Um, Suzan-Lori Parks added to the film in that she shows um, she shows the popularity of Ivan's music that we kind of didn't get in the film. She has these scenes where the characters are taking the records and passing them along and talking about the people in Kingston and talking to each other about the power of Ivan's music because Ivan is the star and it's based on the real life experience of Jimmy Cliff. And we don't get that in the film. All we get in the film is the indomitable music record company, the label owner, Mr. Hilton, denying um, Ivan playing his music. But in the stage adaptation, she really takes it on a new level. Um, she shows the record label seizing the commercial profit, doing his job as a good record label owner should, which is to give the people what they want. That's what we saw in the stage adaptation. And I like that because, she adapted it and we didn't get that in the film. We didn't get how popular, how, how a record owner could in fact help himself, could in fact make money by giving the people what they want. So kudos to Suzan-Lori Parks on that. As I put in my review on my website, this adaptation must be seen for the unforgettable performance of Ivan by Nady Jones. Jones sounds so much like Jimmy Cliff. It's not even funny. I mean, I was very impressed with his sound. I was very impressed with his chops. I was very impressed with his endurance. He was singing loud from the beginning to the end of the play. Um, his performance makes you really root for him and makes you want to get the record deal that he, throughout the musical, is vying for. And Nady Jones's performance of him is absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to look for, yes, this is my photo of him right here on the left. He looks like, I told him I really want Jimmy Cliff to see your performance because in my heart, you do him justice. So kudos to Nady Jones on his awesome performance of Jimmy Cliff. Right here on the top is Huso Simon, who played the role of the newscaster, and the DJ who plays Ivan's music. And below is Andrew Clark from Brata Productions, who plays the role of Lyle. Lyle becomes Ivan's nemesis in the church and forces Ivan to, fight for himself. Because in the film, there's a very vivid fight between the 72 film between Ivan and Lyle that Ivan, it reminds me of Frederick Douglass, has to go through in order to become a man, in order to fight for himself, in order to defend himself. So powerful, powerful film, and it's a powerful stage production. The only thing I really didn't like about Suzan-Lori Parks' script is that she has Ivan's love interest, Elsa, ask ask Ivan to turn himself into the police. And then she goes to the police herself in Susan's script and begs the police not to um, be too harsh on him, which is a complete betrayal of the whole script. That doesn't happen in the film. And then in the stage musical, they call Elsa is told by Ivan he's in the fishing business, as if it's so difficult to tell her that he's selling ganja or weed, and selling ganja or weed is so hush hush. So I thought that was silly choice of Suzan-Lori Parks. But in any event, despite those two betrayals, I encourage everybody to go see The Harder They Come at the Public Theater. It's not. It was going to originally be only until the end of the month, but I just got an email from their press director that it will be extended all the way to April 9th. So today is March 18th. You have about 3 more weeks. Go see The Harder They Come. That's at the Public Theater at 425 Lafayette. Um, if you're taking the train, it's, I believe, the Astor Place stop on the 6th train. And you could kind of hear the 6th train moving underneath the theater when you go. Powerful performance, powerful cast. Especially powerful performance by Nady Jones. Congratulations, Nady. I hope this off-Broadway production give you plenty awards, plenty, as you deserve it. Um, Speaking of awesome performances, today is the birthday of Vanessa L. Williams, who I first saw on Broadway when I saw the 2002 revival of Into the Woods. That is a production I will never forget. The set was absolutely unforgettable. Me and my housemate Chris saw this production together over a decade and a half and a decade and a half ago, 2002. Well, almost now over 2 decades ago, because that was 2002. When you walked in the theater, I'll never forget, they had these like twice more than life-size books of all the fairy tales. The Brothers Grimm, the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, Little Red Riding Hood, The Baker's Wife, Rapunzel, and they had all of those titles on books on the stage. That's what you see when you walk in. And then when the play, first of all, it's a very intimate theater. You're so close to the stage. Every single seat is within a throw's distance from the stage. It's so intimate. I've never been in a more intimate Broadway space, the Broadhurst Theater. I've never had to, I'm sure every person who goes to this particular theater will say the same thing. It's a very intimate space. Everybody's close up. You feel like you're literally on the stage. I felt like I was on the stage. So the play opens with those books, and then the books open up during the course, and then the costume was unforgettable, especially of the cow. Everybody loved to see the cow move. Um, it was so inventive. The music is unforgettable. Vanessa Williams' role as the witch was unforgettable. Her goal was to try and steal um, the baker and his wife's baby, while she's at the same time keeping her daughter Rapunzel in the tower and telling her she has to stay in the tower. She also gets, so this whole musical written by Stephen Sondheim is making a profound commentary on parenting, in his blend of all of these Grimm Brothers fairy tales. I will never forget Vanessa Williams' performance. One of the most often played soundtracks by me is her song "Children Will Listen." The second time she does it in the second act, at the end of the play. The most powerful part for me of Vanessa Williams' stage performance is her exit and the way that the lighting does it when she's frustrated after the giant has ruined the whole forest, trampling it, and she's frustrated by the selfishness of everybody, and she no longer wants the baker and wants the baker's child, the baker and his wife's child. She gives the child up because she's convinced you humans are corrupt, and I'll just be raising another person who's going to turn out to be corrupt. So you understand her logic, but what exit? I will never forget that exit. She like turns gray at the very end and then descends under the stage. And with this wild shriek that I will never forget, Vanessa Williams makes her powerful exit as a witch. So I'm putting this up because I mean, she's inspired me so much. I remember when I was a little boy, and on the news, she got all that negative press because she took photos, nude photos that were leaked. And then when she noticed all the controversy, she chose to resign, and give up her crown as then 1983 her Miss America crown. And now, certain individuals are able to get famous because of their sex tape, having sex recorded and putting it on for the public to see. Certain people get famous because of that. She became infamous. Um, I remembered conversations, I remembered comments from my family about how scandalous she was and and I was grateful to see her rebound so beautifully from that to become a star of not only Miss America, to become a star of the music studio with awesome music, to become a star of TV with Ugly Betty, to become a star of the stage through Into the Woods. And I'm grateful to see her talent. Her birthday is today, March 18th. And I'm grateful for her. My mother's is tomorrow. Yesterday's was my friend Daniel C. Davis of DCD Contracting, as well as the birthday of Cynthia McKinney, Dr. Cynthia McKinney now. So these are all these Pisceans close to me. One of the deepest songs that she sung that I can't ever forget is Children Will Listen. One of the lines from that song is, careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn, to learn what to be. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. So this has so many layers. Shout out to Joshia Shukri for introducing me to Sondheim in college, because I performed, it wasn't Into the Woods, but I performed um, in the play, in the musical written by Sondheim called Pacific Overtures, directed by Joshia Shukri at Yale College. He's changed his name, I've heard, and it no longer goes by that name. And I wish him all the very best, because I got an incredible education from him and from now uh, Dr. Dr. R.L. Watson, who directed me in a play written by James Baldwin. And Joshua Shukri directed me in a musical by Sondheim. And I saw this musical right after performing Sondheim's um, Pacific Overtures, which is a whole other experience. What he's dealing with about U.S. imperialism and arrogance, and Native Indigenous heritage. So check out his work. I believe he also is a March Aries. Stephen Sondheim is, as is Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, and Stephanie Mills are all March Aries, whose birthdays will be approaching within the next 2 weeks. By the way, I'm seeing Stephanie Mills on so many outlets, and I'm so grateful for her publicist, AMP, just putting her on blast. She deserves to be on blast. She was ignored for too long. And Vlad TV did an amazing interview with her. The only thing missing from that Vlad TV interview with Stephanie Mills was his needing to ask Stephanie Mills about the reviews of The Wiz. When The Wiz first premiered on Broadway, the reviews were so racist and nasty. And I think that kind of shaped Stephanie Mills's consciousness to understand the impact of what she was doing. And as Felicia Rashad said in an interview with Donna Shield on YouTube, The Wiz was a path-breaking musical on Broadway that introduced so many things: popular music, uh, as well as pit singers. This is a great album on Vanessa Williams' birthday that I want to say that I listened to in college. I wore this album out because there were so many songs that I remember: The Comfort Zone, Running Back to You, uh, Oh How the Days Go By, Save the Best for Last, Dreaming. These are Vanessa Williams hits that I grew up with, that I'm grateful for on this March 18th. So once again, please subscribe, like, and share my YouTube. If you got blessed from this, don't hesitate to support me, please, through my Cash App, which is $Rome Fraser. Please keep reading, keep the faith, and keep those vibrations high. God bless you.